The crowds are awaiting the fourth and final historic Formula Ford race of the weekend at the Croft Nostalgia Festival, and what a great turnout it has been. And we look forward now to the 8th round of the historic Formula Ford Championship with yesterday's race winner Richard Tarling on pole position in his Jayman. He narrowly beat Michael O'Brien yesterday, and O'Brien is the new championship leader. Yet to win a race though, multiple podium finisher however. Ben Tilley, out of his Lotus Formula Junior, will start third alongside Max Bartel. In the Lancaster Insurance sponsored Merlin, alongside or behind him is Sam Mitchell, who starts fifth. The top 10 cars of this grid start as they finished yesterday, with the remaining part of the grid made up from the qualifying race which took place earlier today. James Buckton had one of his better runs of the season. He will start sixth, and behind him will be Ben Tusting, making his return to the championship this year. Callum Grant, who was spun out into the field yesterday, here start 8th, ahead of Neil Shinner and Stuart Kestenbaum. They're the 10 cars that go through from yesterday. Let's see what happened in the heat. Sunday's heat got underway at Croft with Rob Smith and Ross Dryber on the front row, but David Wild slotting through into second, ahead of Dryber as they turned into Clairvaux. Then Wild challenged Rob Smith up towards Tower and took the lead. Dick Dixon powered around the outside of John Roberts up towards the Jim Clark S's, and then Smith made the move back on David Wild up towards Tower Bend on lap 2 to regain P1. So he led Wild and Driver with Andrew Wiggins in 4th ahead of John Hayes Harlow. Boyce Uerzu squeezed his way ahead of John Roberts into chicane. And further up the road, it was Ross Dryber's turn past David Wild into Tower. Stephen Greenwood and Dick Dixon battled, but it was Rob Smith that won. And after a spin for Ross Dryber, P2 was David Wild and third for John Hayes Harlow. So therefore, it will be Rob Smith, our qualifying race winner, who will start 11th alongside David Wild. John Hayes Harlow will be next, and Andrew Wiggins in 14th, and James Lovett next. New cars not quite in the assembly area yet, it would seem. So the next car we can see is Dick Dixon, who's studying the grid sheet, enthusiastic as ever before the racing. John Roberts is next, and Ross Dryber, watch out for him coming through the field in his Merlin after his spin. Then you've got Phil Nelson and the patched up Classic Team Merlin machine of Jeff Underwood. We look forward to another capacity grid here at Croft, another capacity grid in the 2017 historic Formula Ford Championship as we move into the second half of the season with just Alton Park, Snetterton and Silverstone remaining. Tarling and O'Brien then off the front row. O'Brien leads a brace of 4 Merlins with Tilley, Bartel and Mitchell behind. James Buckton breaks up the next group of Merlins with Tustin, Grant and Shinner, and Stuart Kestenbaum in the top 10. Then we've got Smith, Wild, Hayes, Harlow, Wiggins, Lovett, Uerzu, Dixon, Roberts, Dryber and Nelson. Underwood, Haynes, Unsworth, Arnold, Wales, Cook, Arnold, Beards, Arden, Greenwood, Handel and Laird making up our 32 runners. Then for our final race of the weekend at Croft, Richard Tarling gets a final bit of warmth into the tyres and the brakes ahead of the race. As the cars head to the grid then, anticipation builds at this point of the race. The run down towards Clairvaux for the first time. Always a tight part of the race as everyone concertinas up. Grid pretty much going all the way back to the hairpin. There's Dick Dixon and John Roberts lining up next to one another. Driver getting ready to make up positions after losing out in the earlier race. Cars all in position pretty much now, so the 5-second board is held up, and we get ready then for this 20-minute encounter. The red lights will go on, and when they go out we'll be underway, and they are. Who's made the better start? Again, Richard Tarling from pole position looks good. Again, Michael O'Brien not getting away as well as he would like to have done, but he's managed to cut off the attentions of Ben Tilley. It's Max Bartel that's coming around the outside. He can't quite make it, but he might get third up on Tilley. And the rest of the field flow through. There's John Roberts leading Paul Unsworth and Jeff Underwood, who runs side by side up to Hawthorne. Rachel Arnold looking to the inside of Nick Arden, but left right on board is Sam Mitchell. The two cars are side by side up ahead. That's Max Bartel to the outside, Ben Tilley on the inside. A lock up for Max Bartel as he brakes late, and Sam Mitchell tries to make his way around the outside of Ben Tilley, who's just been in a 20-minute sprint in the Formula Junior race, which he just lost out to Jonathan Hughes. He doesn't know what track conditions are like, but a very different car. Out of tower, a spin for Roger Arnold as his daughter waves to him, and then he waves back as he rejoins the circuit. But the leaders into the complex. It's Tarling and O'Brien getting away then, and the battle for third. See Ben Tilley come back down the inside of Max Bartel to grab that place back. So they're having a great dive for the final step on the podium. Frantic action on the first lap as ever then, but the top two have got away fantastically well, haven't they? Tarling and O'Brien tight together, but there's a big gap back to Tilley. Bartel behind a Callum Grant down the inside of Sam Mitchell, so he's already up to fifth is Grant, the driver who come into Croft as the championship leader, but has lost out to Michael O'Brien after the poor result yesterday for Grant, and another podium for O'Brien. There's Alan Cook in the Mallock with the head of Mike Wales, Donald Laird and Rachel Arnold on board with the leader. It's side by side down to Tower. It's Michael O'Brien going around the outside to get the lead away from Tarling then. Yes, he does it. So the Merlin ahead of the Jayman. Classic Team Merlin's Michael O'Brien leads the way. Then down to the Jim Clark S's. Absolutely on the gearbox of O'Brien is Tarling. Here's Roger Arnold as he makes his way back through the field. It's Nick Arden's car ahead, and he's going to go down the inside into the chicane, and he goes through. Callum Grant following Max Bartel in towards Sonny. Bartel slides a bit wide, he's out over the grass. Bartel out over the grass, and Callum Grant now into fourth. He's gained 4 places in 1.5 laps. Lost driver on the tail of Andrew Wiggins as he swiftly makes his way through the field as driver and into the complex. He's going down the inside and he gains the place. A bit of a gap though to catch the next group of cars. Involved in that is Rob Smith into the hairpin, and down the inside of him has gone James Buckton. So Buckton gains a place. He's further down than where he started. Into Clairvaux for the leaders, and it is Michael O'Brien that leads the way. Great ball drift there from Sam Mitchell in 5th. Tarling, is he going to be able to challenge O'Brien, where O'Brien took the lead on the last lap? He's in the tow, he's in the slipstream, he's catching, he's going to go to the inside down towards Tower Bend, and Richard Tarling takes the lead back. Jeff Underwood, Michael O'Brien's teammate, he's going to make a move. He's gone down the inside of John Roberts in towards Clairvaux, and he goes through. Rob Smith sees some side-by-side action ahead of him as James Buckton's going to gain another place. He gets ahead of Stuart Kestenbaum now as they go down into Tower Bend, and he's gone through. Rob Smith going to be able to challenge Kestenbaum up towards the Jim Clark S's. I don't think he's quite close enough, but he's closing all the time. The gap comes down every second, and now he's on the tail. He's going to look down the inside into Barcroft, but Kestenbaum covered that off. Leaders into the complex, Tarling and O'Brien. Tilley is third, 4th is Grant. Grant now with Tilley. In the 5th position is Mitchell, 6th is Bartel after that excursion on the last lap. 7th is Neil Shinner ahead of Ben Tusting and James Buckton. A real battle on for 10th for Stuart Kestenbaum, and John Hayes Harlow's gone around the outside of Rob Smith to gain a place. So Hayes Harlow's having a strong run at the beginning of this one. Callum Grant challenging Ben Tilley up to Clairvaux. He's gone down the inside. He's into 3rd place. So Grant on a real charge through the field in this one. There's Neil Shinner, he's running 7th, ahead of Tusting and Buckton, as we mentioned. And behind, Rob Smith is under pressure now from David Wild. He had the fence to the inside there, and he did so successfully. There's Jeff Underwood getting away from John Roberts now. Phil Nelson in the Hawk is behind. There's a gap back to Paul Unsworth, who's ahead of Martin Haynes. More action down towards Clairvaux. That's Mike Wales just ahead of Donald Laird. The Merlin and the Eldon turn their way through. We can ride back on board with Rob Smith. He's on the tail then of John Hayes-Harlow, and Hayes-Harlow's challenging down towards Barcroft all over the back of Stuart Kestenbaum, and Kestenbaum runs out wide. So Hayes-Harlow goes through, and Smith's going to slip down the inside into Sonny as well. Leaders through the complex. We've got 2 pairs now up front as Tilly continues to challenge Callum Grant. It's a battle for 7th. It's still Neil Shinner holding on ahead of Tusting and Buckton's got Smoke following his Crosley, so problems there for James Buckton, but he's still challenging Ben Tusting up towards the hairpin. There's John Hayes-Harlow leading the battle for 10th, and there's about 6-7 cars involved in that one. Leaders into the first corner though, still absolutely together. That Mitchell, fantastic to watch as ever through Clairvaux. That full drift going on. There's Shinner, Tusting and Buckton. Buckton's car still flailing. What looks like fluid, but let's hope not. Round the outside for 10th, that's Rob Smith on John Hayes-Harlow. So Smith, who lost out last few laps, has come flying back through. He's into 10th once more. The back of that train of cars is Ross Dryborough on the tail of David Wild, who in turn is on the tail of Stuart Kestenbaum. They turn their way onto the chicane. Good run through there for Dryborough, so he's going to be able to challenge Wild. Well, in fact, it's Wild challenging Kestenbaum, and it's Dryborough going to try and get back past both of them here. Well, Wild's continuing to run around the outside of Stuart Kestenbaum, and he goes through. Driver can't quite make a place. There's a car out over the grass in front. That looked like John Hayes-Harlow. Side by side of the Clairvaux. That's Martin Haynes getting the better of Paul Unsworth. Does he run out wide? No, he's got through. And behind, you've got the Mike Wales and Donald Laird battle continuing. So this has been a good dice. 3 for the lead now through the complex. Callum Grant has caught the top 2 and pulled away slightly from Ben Tilley as well. Is there an issue for Richard Tarling? His car looks to be smoking now. Plenty of drama in this race as John Hayes-Harlow goes back past Rob Smith into Sonny. The battle for 10th place this is. Leaders down into the first corner. Richard Tarling continues to lead, but is there an issue with his Jamin? O'Brien and Grant behind, Tilley in 4th, 5th is Mitchell, 6th is Bartel. The chicane and Richard Tarling pulls off. Richard Tarling pulls off the circuit. I was going to say that you see on the camera lens a bit of a smearing on Callum Grant's camera lens. That must be from the fluid coming out of Richard Tarling's car. Meanwhile, though, Callum Grant round the outside, he takes the lead at Tower. So Tarling's pulled off. O'Brien down to 2nd. All change up front as Rob Smith repasses Hayes-Harlow into Clairvaux again. That's been a great ding-dong battle between the pair. Richard Tarling out of the race. Dick Dixon and Jeff Underwood having a good battle. A bit of a slide there for Dixon, and there's Tarling pulling his car off the road, and he's out of the race after winning the race yesterday. Bad news indeed. Mike Wales and Donald Laird have got a car joining them. That's Stephen Greenwood. Jeff Underwood challenging Dick Dixon into Tower. Not quite enough room down the inside there. Plenty of action in this one, isn't there? They're the leaders, the 2 championship contenders. Grant and O'Brien. 3rd is Tilley. 4th is Mitchell. 5th now Bartel. So that's our new top 5 with the loss of Richard Tarling. We understand had a hole in the radiator. That was causing all the fluid to come out of his car. Doesn't seem to be on the circuit. Track seems to be in good condition still, which is good. We also lost James Buckton to the pit lane after we saw his car in issue 2. And all problems now for Ben Tusting, who's made contact with Neil Shinner and he's lost his nose cone, so it looks like he's pulling out. Is anyone going to finish this race? David Wild's got himself ahead of John Hayes Harlow, and round the outside of Stuart Kestenbaum comes Ross Driver, but he gets edged into the gravel there. And Jeff Underwood now going down the inside of Dick Dixon. It's certainly an action-packed final race of the weekend for historic Formula Ford. And Andrew Wiggins now comes past Ross Driver, who has a slow run out onto the straight, but he's going to fight back in towards Tower Bend. He's gone back down the inside to gain the place back. Stuart Kestenbaum up ahead. Stephen Greenwood's got to the front of this battle now, ahead of Mike Wales and Donald Laird. Mid-race flight up above, but meanwhile the leaders turn through the complex, and Ben Tilley is coming on to attack the top two. He's catching Callum Grant and Michael O'Brien. Tilley yet to win a race in historic Formula Ford. Can he do so today? Michael O'Brien not won a race yet in the 2017 Championship. He won though twice at the Silverstone Classic last weekend and has won in the Championship in the past. There's Rob Smith. He's getting away from David Wild and John Hayes Harlow now. Stuart Kestenbaum continues to battle with Ross Driver and Andrew Wiggins. There's a battle behind as well. That's James Lovett, who has been caught by Jeff Underwood in recent laps. There's John Roberts, who has Phil Nelson chasing him. There's Rob Smith car twitching into Clairvaux as he tries to get away from David Wild. And Jeff Underwood now challenging James Lovett down into Clairvaux, and he goes through. Ross Driver out the chicane on the tail of Stuart Kestenbaum. He's got a good run through the corner. He's coming up alongside. He's going past Stuart Kestenbaum, and he's got to lap the slower car of Nick Arden. He does that successfully, so he's gained a place. He's got ahead of Stuart Kestenbaum. The car oversteering in towards Tower, oversteering through Tower as well, but he keeps ahead. Here's a battle. This is Paul Unsworth ahead of Alan Cook. Forward now with Rachel Arnold, who waved by the leaders, and the leaders in traffic. There they go, Grant. There's O'Brien. Rachel Arnold showing the best way how to deal with cars when they are lapping. Let them know where they should pass. There's Ben Tilley going after the top two still. Maybe just lost a touch of time since we last saw them. Not far back at all. So the leaders cross the line. They complete another lap of the Croft circuit, with O'Brien in the tow of Callum Grant as they turn in their way onto Clairvaux, the opening corner of the lap. Ben Tilley pushing on to catch them. Sam Mitchell in traffic. That's Rachel Arnold again, who next didn't know which way to go. And Max Bartel all over the curves, right onto terms now with Sam Mitchell. So the battle for fourth livens up. David Wild back onto terms with Rob Smith, with John Hayes Harlow going with him. There's Driver now ahead of Kestenbaum and Wiggins behind. Change for the lead into Tower. Michael O'Brien passes Callum Grant then. Down the inside, he runs out wide, so is that going to allow Grant to re-challenge? We saw these two run side by side through the Jim Clark Essex yesterday. Grant not quite close enough to do that today. So Michael O'Brien leads for the second time in this race. Callum Grant drops to second. Remember, these are the two drivers battling for the 2017 Championship. Particularly now with Richard Tarling out of the race, that's going to really hamper his championship challenge. Up towards the complex, O'Brien leads, Grant behind. Pulling their way through the complex, a much wider line taken by O'Brien. Going to the hairpin. Tighter line taken by Grant, but then O'Brien's able to get the power down earlier. Power accelerate his way down the straight, down the start and finish line, into Clairvaux. Therefore Grant not really being able to use the slipstream to challenge. Traffic up ahead. Down into Hawthorne they go. To lap the car of Alan Cook. Stephen Greenwood slow there. He's obviously had a moment through the chicane. They turn. Oh, and Callum Grant's gone off. Callum Grant into the field as he would yesterday, but looks like real issues there for Grant. Looks like he's going to be out of the race. Terrible weekend at Croft then for Callum Grant, who done so well here last year with a double victory. So I think this is going to be the battle for a place higher up at Leeds. Rob Smith and David Wild are getting away from John Hayes Harlow now. Then Ross Driver and then Stuart Kestenbaum and Andrew Wiggins. There's Grant, he's out of the car, he's absolutely gutted, isn't he? Led the championship here and he's going to go away way behind Michael O'Brien if O'Brien can win this. There he is, Ben Clairvaux. What kind of gap did he go over Ben Tilley? It's much larger than it has been, isn't it? Perhaps Tilley being caught in back markers, yes, because because Mitchell and Bartel are much closer to him. And they're also going to have to work their way through the traffic. And Bartel with the yellow flags out of the chicane there really lost time. The two Arnolds together. And they're soon to be lapped by the Smith and Wild dice. Stuart Kestenbaum and Andrew Wiggins still having a good battle. They're the Arnolds ahead of Smith, Wild, Hayes Harlow, Driver, Kestenbaum, Wiggins. There's Michael O'Brien then on the final lap of the race. 20 minutes has elapsed. So it's going to be Michael O'Brien to win for the first time this year and to take a very comfortable championship lead into Oulton Park. He takes the victory then for the Classic Team Merlin squad. In second place, Ben Tilley. So he takes 4 podiums this weekend at Croft, 2 in Formula Junior and 2 in Formula 4. Third place was Sam Mitchell and 4th was Max Bartel. Neil Shinner will come home in a fantastic 5th position. So I believe this is a battle for stick, being led by Rob Smith. So 4 of the leading runners not making it to the end. Rob Smith comes home in a fantastic 6th position then. Let's take a confirmation look at the results. It was Michael O'Brien that won the 13-lapper by 3 seconds over Ben Tilley, with Sam Mitchell 3rd. Merlin's taken up the top 6 spots with Bartel, Shinner and Smith there. David Wild was 7th, 8th was John Hayes Harlow, 9th was Ross Driver, who started 19th, so a great run from him. Stuart Kestenbaum completed the top 10. Then Andrew Wiggins, Jeff Underwood, James Lovett, Dick Dixon and John Roberts, the only other cars to finish on the lead lap. Phil Nelson, Martin Haynes, Stephen Greenwood, Paul Unsworth, Alan Cook, Mike Wales, Donald Laird, the Arnolds and Nick Arden were the 25 finishers. There's Michael O'Brien, a race winner for the first time in the 2017 Championship. Double race winner at Silverstone Classic last weekend and now has a 32-point lead in the HSCC Historic Formula 4 Championship in association with Babel Tyres, supported by Radio Caroline. Callum Grant will run 2nd in the championship, heading to the Gold Cup at Oulton Park with Sam Mitchell 3rd. Richard Tarling will be 4th, just a point between Mitchell and Tarling. 5th will be Ben Tilley, still looking to have his maiden win in the category. Max Bartel will be 6th. And now we turn our attentions to Oulton Park and the Gold Cup at the end of August. Bank holiday weekend.